Welcome back to the Garlic Marketing Show. I'm Garlic here, and today we're going to talk one of the hotter topics and how to do it right, LinkedIn, with an expert on growing a business, coaching, consulting, service practice using LinkedIn for true leaders in their industry. Adam Houlahan from Prominence Global. Thank you, Adam, for being on the show.
It's a pleasure and absolutely wonderful to be here with you on the other side of the world.
Other side of the world, coming to us from Australia. Yes, just it's a whole different day there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's tomorrow. We like to say we're ahead of the pack because whatever day for you, we're the next day.
Yeah, you're calling me from the future. That's amazing.
That's
And of course, this is brought to you by videocasestory.com. One of the best ways to prove your expertise, to stay in front of your clients, to nurture them, to build up, to improve your conversion is through your client stories, not testimonials. Go to videocasestory.com to learn 50 plus ways to improve your sales and marketing using your client stories. All right, Adam. So we're going to talk about how you 10x'd one of your clients, one of the clients' results using LinkedIn. Your four-part structure, and really the key to success on LinkedIn, because everyone right now says LinkedIn's too noisy and it's too difficult. And usually when I hear people say that, like it's like when people said email's dead or SEO is dead. It's just you have to find the opportunity, right? It's still, the opportunity is still there, isn't it?
It is, and as you said, you've got to be able to cut through that noise.
Yeah. And so tell me how, before we get into your client story and how this all works, how did you end up here working on LinkedIn? Because you've run a few companies before, you've done a lot in the past.
Yeah, and it's probably roughly 10 years ago now. I had sold the company I had at the time, which was actually we were manufacturing wakeboard boats for a company based in Texas here in Australia. And so I'd exited out of that. My wife was about to have our fifth child, and I kind of wanted to have a bit of a break. And I ended up getting a bit bored with that. And I was running someone else's company for a little while. And when we were doing some research in that, we were looking for why other companies in that space were, what they were doing well or better than us. And this company isn't little. It was doing about $1 million a month in online sales. What it turned out to be was the competitors were just doing social media quite well. I remember this was like 10 years ago. And but I just started to research that a lot. And the more I did, the more I personally just resonated with LinkedIn as a business tool, not so much in the social sense. And so I just kept deep diving more and more into that. And eventually I got to the point where, as you mentioned, I'd had a number of businesses in the past, and I kind of didn't really want to be building someone else's business. So I wanted to start out on my own journey again. And I thought to get started with that, I might just start doing a little bit of consulting and helping some people with their LinkedIn strategies. So in the beginning, it was just me part-time and a virtual assistant, and it just kind of kept growing and growing to where we are today, which is I've got a global team of 18 people and a global client base, based across North America, United Kingdom, and the Asia Pacific region. So, yeah, it was, and I suppose the real catalyst of where we kind of got this hyper growth was the pandemic. 2 years ago now, the world went crazy, and everybody kind of wanted to get online, and we already had, we weren't in offices and things like that. All of our team were working remotely. So we weren't impacted like a lot of businesses with shutdowns and things like that. And we kind of had we've had 2 years now of 100% growth per year. So it's been a bit of a crazy ride.
Wow, that's some pretty hyper growth there. And did you see? I mean, obviously our habits changed, but how did LinkedIn change during the shutdown?
Yeah, I don't think we got long enough to go through all of them, but it really has like a massive amount of change. And like you said earlier, Ian, like people are saying, oh, that, I don't get the same sort of results that I used to, and that's because they're kind of doing what they used to do and not moved with the times and the changes that LinkedIn have implemented. And really, probably in the last probably 8 to 10 months, the amount of changes has been massive. And what LinkedIn really wants to be, and have successfully morphed into, is they want to be a content platform. And what I mean by that is not the noise content. So as you alluded to before, there's a lot of sort of content on there like everywhere else, but there's only probably like a very, very small number, roughly 80 to 100,000 people out of 800 million, believe it or not, that really actually get it right. And that's kind of what we do. Is a big part of our methodology is helping people get that content part right. And so you cut through that noise, and also, algorithmically, LinkedIn's wanting to promote your content to your ideal audience, because you're creating it in a way that serves their purposes, not works against what they're trying to do.
Serving their purpose. That's a deceptively simple thing you just said, but I think that's probably the number one mistake that businesses make on any platform, and it's out there. Is just trying to serve the purpose of that platform. They try and game the system instead of serving the purpose of the platform. I see it in SEO, I see it in Facebook ads. Everyone gets all upset when they get caught doing it, and they're like, they shut me down, or it's not working anymore. So how did you determine what, as LinkedIn changed into this content platform, how are you determining that aspect of it? How you can serve LinkedIn?
Yeah, it's a good question, because as none of these platforms openly share, how they construct their algorithms or change their algorithms. They might in some minor ways, but as a general rule, you kind of got to work it out. And so two things: we've got the luxury of getting to work with a lot of people around the world. So obviously we get access to a lot of data, but we also have as I said, we got 18 people on our team. And a couple of those people, that's their sole purpose. That they have no client-facing role. They're literally just monitoring and analysing probably about 500-ish posts per week. And we're analysing that from a very different perspective than what most people would look at it. So that we're seeing how these trends change. And to give you an example. So it used to be, there's a new algorithm that LinkedIn did openly say was being implemented, but nobody actually knew what it meant, called dwell time. And the dwell time algorithm really changed the way people interacted on content. It used to always be, he or she who had the most connections would get the most visibility. It's no longer like that. It's now determined by how people interact on your content and in the time frames of when they interact with it. And so for a long period of time, there was this it was kind of known that you had to get this certain level of interaction within the first couple of hours, or your post kind of just died out of the feeds. It's now changed where this is over a week, but there's certain interaction you need to get at certain points, and so your content has to be designed in a certain way that basically, in a nutshell, what it is you got to keep people on the platform. You can't sharing links to your blog article or someone else's post or stuff like that is not highly valued by LinkedIn. What's really valued is where, say, you pose a question and the audience gets to interact on that, keeps them on the platform, and it keeps the conversation going. So roughly that's what's required.
Awesome. And I want to get a little more into the details of what how you're determining that content, but let's keep people excited. You almost 10x'd someone's results using LinkedIn, which is crazy to me, without any paid, right?
Yeah, no paid, just all organic. Yep.
All organic. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so these guys are business coaches, which, we don't just work with business coaches, but it is an industry that does really well with this methodology. And these guys were, when we first started working with them, which was about 4 to 5 years ago, their program that they ran was like, it was like a new client that came into it would commit to the program for 18 months. So it wasn't a small investment. And it was like 1,500 Australian dollars per month. So, roughly that's probably like 1,200 US dollars per month. And they had about 80 clients. So they had a proven product. They had a successful business already. They had a team that could implement stuff. So they were kind of the ideal kind of company for us to work with. And pull forward to today, they now have about roughly 350 clients, and their programs range from about 3,000 to 6,000 Australian dollars per month. So I said 2,200 to 5,000 US dollars per month, somewhere in that range. And you kind of do the math on, 80 times 1,500 to, even if you just did, 350 times 3,000, that's the low end, because they actually have higher level programs now. That's kind of the power of what they were able to do.
Wow, that's pretty nice. So that you said that, how long before you started to see results in that?
Yeah, generally it's about 90 days. So there's a few things that have to get done first. Like your profile has to be properly optimized, so not so that it just looks good. It's got to, LinkedIn's got to be able to understand, what searches to show you in, and when people are looking for something, they've got to understand who you serve. That takes a little bit of, it's not a difficult process, but that's got to be done. There's a very different way LinkedIn looks at who you're connecting with to how you might look at it. So they're really looking at it from a point of view of, who, these people you're connecting with, and by the way, and this is a big mistake people make on a daily basis, is just accepting connection requests from anyone. And that's actually going to do you a lot of harm now, because what the problem is, if you do want to become this highly valued content creator that LinkedIn wants, if you're just connecting with anyone and everyone, the algorithms are like, well, we really don't know, who's the right type of people to show this content to, so you make their life harder. And if their life's harder, they're going to make yours harder. And then you've got to get this content sort of process going. It's all designed around building up, you as the individual, as the authority in whatever industry you're in. And of course, building authority, as you know, it's like SEO. You can't go from zero today and sort of you're an authority tomorrow. So it's about sort of 90 days to start, before we start to implement a fourth part of the methodology, which is the conversion strategies that get people off LinkedIn and into conversations with you.
Nice. And so let's talk a little bit about, working with you, because it seems like, you're in there, and, I think a lot of people, when they go to social and organic, they feel like they can do it themselves, but the strategies and everything that you're doing in here seem not only ahead of the game, but you're seeing a lot of that content. You're seeing what's working. So who's working with you, and what's the best way to work with you all?
So predominantly, the people we work with best are going to have a proven product or service. So we do get, especially in the last 2 years ago, when kind of everything went crazy, we had a lot of people contacting us saying, oh, I was doing this and now I'm going to focus on this. And we go, great, when you've made 10 sales, come back and let's chat about it then. But this process is not a good process to test that out. So it's a proven product or service. You got a bit of a team. Like LinkedIn is not a platform that's overly automatable. There's a lot of legwork that needs to get done, and that's where the value of working with us is often the case, that our team can do a lot of that legwork instead of yours. But in either way, someone has to do the work. Generally, the B2B, business to business type products or services. I'm not saying they're all that, but the high majority are. And they've got to be really. It's the leader we only work with the leader in the business. We don't work with sales teams or marketing teams that want to do paid ads and things like that. Our methodology really focuses on the leader of the organization, positioning them as an authority in whatever industry they're in, and then implementing these strategies that takes that authority and visibility and turns it into people wanting to to interact with you on a higher level. And they're generally in North America, United Kingdom, or the Asia Pacific region, which is Australia, Singapore, New Zealand.
With, when you say the leader has to work with you, is the leader also need to be closing the sales, or how does that work?
We're using the leaders, in often case, in the highest levels of our programs, we're managing their entire profile for them. They're not really doing well. They're going to shoot the videos for sure, but other than that, they're not really having any day-to-day involvement. And certainly in the example I shared with you about the guys that almost 10 times what they're doing. Of course, that's certainly not being done by the founder of the business. It's being done by their sales people. So yes, there's a methodology we use that takes that authority and transfers it to the right team in the organization when it gets down to the actual sales conversation. So no, the answer is rarely is it or should it be the CEO or founders who's then doing the sales process.
Love it. And you have go to prominence.global, and we'll put the link in the show notes, and obviously follow you on LinkedIn. I'm sure you're doing some LinkedIn for yourself, right?
Yeah, I do a little bit. So it's been known to happen.
But you have different levels of engagement as well, too, right? So tell me a little bit about those.
Yeah, so essentially we have three levels of our engagements, and it's basically you can log into a platform we've built, and it's all video-based training, and it coaches you through this whole process, so you and your team can implement it all. The second level is where you have one of our coaches that are guiding your team on what to do, what not to do, but also you have our team in the background doing a lot of the really time-consuming part of the process. And then the highest level of our program is where, as I was mentioning before, it's like 95% of it's just all done by us. So we're creating all the content, we're doing all connecting with the right type of people, we're implementing the conversion strategies, almost practically up to the sales conversation is all managed by our teams.
Nice. That's awesome. That is awesome. And so Prominence.global is the website, and obviously we'll put a link to your LinkedIn. Any place else people should follow you?
They're the two. LinkedIn is definitely the space we play in the most. Of course, we've got Twitter and Instagram and all those things as well. But really, LinkedIn is where you're going to get the best quality of content and information from us. We're always sharing good free stuff. We run 5 times a year. We run an update web event. We get kind of like 2,000 people registering for each one of those. They're kind of known, it's where we're sharing any changes that have happened in the last 10 weeks. So that's why we get a lot of people attending those, because it's where we keep everyone up to date on what's going on.
Awesome. And where can I sign up for that?
That's actually off my personal website, but it's adamhoulahan.com/webinar. Nice and easy.
Awesome. So that's fantastic, and I will make sure my team is signed up for that so we can stay up to date and connect with you. But Adam, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for sharing all these LinkedIn insights. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure, mate. It's been a pleasure to share some time with you, and hopefully we've given everyone a little bit of new insight on an old platform. Well, it's not that old, but it's changed a lot.
It has changed a lot. It's constantly changing, but it's great insight, great fundamentals that someone can adapt. I know everyone's looking for that hack, but it's fundamentals that are going to win the game, isn't it?
Exactly. Yep.
And thank you all for taking Adam and I on your journey. This has been Iron Garlic and the Garlic Marketing Show.